Welcome to Sister Sessions, a podcast where two sisters on very different journeys explore what it means to live spiritually in today's world. My sister, Jenny Fairbank, is the co-founder and spiritual director of Wisdom Pathways, a yoga and meditation teacher, and a somatic healer devoted to guiding others toward inner peace. And I'm Susie Gustin, a mom of three, producer and owner of Red City Live Entertainment, embracing life's joys while searching for deeper meaning. Together, we have honest, relatable conversations about finding balance, purpose, and connection in everyday life. So settle in. You are exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Sister Sessions.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sister Sessions podcast, where we get divine and real. My name is Susie Gustin, and I am here with my co-host and sister, Jenny Fairbank.
Hello, Susie.
Hi, Jenny. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Awesome. How are you?
Very well. Very excited about our guest today that Jenny and I are meeting for the first time. So we're excited to share this experience with our audience and get to know our guest a lot better. Today on our show, Carolyn Swift Jones, a spiritual mediator and intuitive counselor who has been practicing divine mediumship for over 40 years. Ordained as a metaphysical minister in 2014 through United Metaphysical Churches in Roanoke, Virginia, Carolyn also served as the spiritual leader of Unity in the Foothills in Torrington, Connecticut for 8 years. She now devotes herself full-time to serving clients and teaching the art and practice of divine mediumship. Carolyn is a passionate mentor to other mediums and holds a powerful belief that divine mediumship is not a gift reserved for a few, but a practice that can be cultivated. Her work invites us to soften, listen, and remember that connection is always available. Please help us welcome to the Sister Sessions studio, Carolyn Swift Jones. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Welcome, Carolyn.
we are so excited to talk to you about all the work that you do. We have been extremely impressed by all the things that we've come across about you, and we would love to really just go and deep dive in. Let's go all the way back where you had discovered at the age of 3 something divine within yourself.
Yeah. Yes. It was probably more like 4, but this is when I called her the lady dressed in light. I came from an atheist family, so I wasn't surrounded with a lot of religious imagery. But this particular lady, who just emanated light, would come in. This was a recurring visit. And as I remember, I would say, the lady dressed in light came to see me again. And in these visits, she would put out her hand over me. And that was the relationship. She had the sweetest face I had ever seen, or ever have seen, really. And many, many, many years later, I came to understand that this lady dressed in light is Lady Nada, the master teacher, Lady Nada, who is a twin flame of Jesus, or as we may say, Yeshua. I call him Yeshua, and is a huge presence on this planet, especially now, with all that's going on in our world. And her sweetness, her kindness, her softness, her caring, her compassion are definitely needed now. So I continue to feel extremely blessed that I have these memories. I have not seen her since, but I feel her with me, and I hear her. I sense her. But I am very, very grateful to her, and I just love talking about her. So thank you.
You can tell your face is lighting up as you speak
Oh,
about her. You can see that.
Well,
Oh.
she, you can look up Lady Nada, and you can get a sense of her. And what's interesting about her is that in her last earthly incarnation, she came from a family that was a lot like mine in many ways, where people were incredibly productive and kind of out there in the world and shiny like celebrities and um, uh, with huge, spectacular abilities. And she was in the background, and she was not a shiny, famous person at all. She learned by being in the background, and trusting her divinity was just as shiny and magnificent while it was not out in front where her siblings were. And what's interesting to me is that that's very much like the family that I grew up in, where I have siblings that, are remarkable in their fields, kind of famous in their fields. And that's never been me. Even though I was an actor for a good part of my life, I was never a famous actor, um, but a kind of behind the scenes actor. So as I've gotten older, and as I've gotten to know her energy more and more, there's often a beautiful wink between us, like, hey, being in the background isn't so bad, is it?
mm. So I have a lot of questions about this. So you're saying the first time you saw her, experienced her, you were 3 or 4 years old, and in that, as soon as you saw her, did you recognize who she was? Did you have a soul remembrance of her? Was there a specific message she had for you about your life, or how many times did she come? Like I have like a slew of things. Like I want to hear all.
As far as I know, she came continually. So, and I began to forget around 4, which is when most children do begin to forget their connection with the oneness. But because I would say to myself, she came to see me again. She came to see me again.
Mhm,
There was never a message that I could remember. There was, however, a feeling of healing over my heart chakra. She would
mm,
put my hand over my back, over my heart chakra. And I did not recognize her when I was little. She was just that lady dressed in light.
mhm,
Uh, she wasn't even a fairy or an angel or a blessed mother. She wasn't any of those, um, what we would call familiar, boundaried personas. She was just herself.
mhm.
Um, and as a child, I remember thinking everybody has a lady dressed in light that comes. Um, so it took a very long time for me to come to know, oh, it's Lady Nada. I had that one word, the lady.
Yeah.
So there must have been some soul recognition going on.
Mm.
But as I say, I was raised in really an atheist family. Um,
So how did your parents deal with this and respond to you when you would
Yeah.
say, "Oh, the lady in light"?
Right.
Would they dismiss you?
yes. And I
Yeah.
say that lovingly.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's
yeah.
very often the case.
Yeah, my parents were very busy. And there were 6 children, and, you know, my dad was a doctor, my mom was a math tutor, and raising 6 children and all of this. And so I think everything that happened in terms of my spiritual unfolding was either, seen as ridiculous, and I say that lovingly.
Yeah.
And, hopefully a phase. I think they just hoped it would be a phase. And not something that they were very interested in talking about with me. So I grew up feeling, as many people do, I think, kind of lonely and isolated in our experiences with communion. Yeah.
So then what happened? When did you figure this out, that you had these gifts? You were saying, I mean, I read your website, and I know Susie has as well. When did you were, acting and working in that field, and you were
Well, yeah,
healing people and
yes. Yes. So you had mentioned that in your 30 years of acting in the theater, you discovered that you were a healer, and you were doing that behind the scenes, which is incredible. Was there something before that, like when you were a child, that you...
No. What there was a relationship with trees and bushes, and the assumption that, of course, they're sentient, and a longing to commune with the sky. There wasn't anything other than, I would say, what I would call a piercing of the soul around when I was 17, which was, some would call it a religious experience. I'm looking back on it now, and I think what it was a falling away of one shell of persona, so that I began to touch in with my own divinity. But I still wasn't quite sure. I had this vague idea I would like to be a priest, but you couldn't do that in the Catholic Church. I had this vague idea I'd like to be a minister, but my family was so horrified by that I did the next best thing, which is to become an actor. And it was in my years backstage where, it started in a little off-Broadway production of something. I can't even remember what the production was, to be honest. But I do remember that the stage manager had an eye infection, and she couldn't figure out what to do about that. Had tried everything, and I had an instinct. My heart started to pound a little bit, and I thought, oh, I think I know what to do. I had an instinct. And I said, could I try something? And while we were in the ladies' room, I just kind of put my hand up by her eye, and I could feel the energy. And I could feel the energy the way it wanted to go. So I moved my hand in that direction. And then her eye infection cleared up right away. So I was hooked, and this is what happens with a lot of people. They get hooked.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and I started working primarily as a healer with no training. I had no Reiki, nothing. I just could feel the energy, and I could feel the way the energy wanted to go. And then one day, a woman came to me with ovarian cancer, and she had heard about me. This was back in my 20s. And again, no training, nothing. And she lay on my sofa, and I put my hand over her, and I could feel, oh, that's a little stuck. Let me see if I can move it this way. And the cancer went away. So that immediately word went out. That put me on the map, and I started getting calls that scared me. And I hid for a while, because when people would call and say, is this the psychic or is this the healer? I just was not old enough to have that kind of labeling be anything but threatening. This was, think late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Wasn't so well established and people didn't
No,
accept this. Yeah.
no,
Mhm.
no. I mean, there was sort of this fake psychic thing with people on television with
Yeah.
fake accents and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, well, I'm a nice girl from Newton Center, Massachusetts. So what I did was I got really, really sick. I got spinal meningitis and had to stop completely while I learned how to ground, and spent a couple years just getting informed with my teachers in spirit about how to ground, which I didn't really know how to do that before. Then I came back to it. And then I discovered that I was more interested with not with spiritual healing and not so much with physical healing. And that happened as a result of a beautiful woman whose children brought me their mother, who was in the later stages of her life. She'd been told she'd had a couple weeks to live, and I wasn't sure what I could do for her. And I put my hand over her. I could feel the energy, but I knew that this was not a physical healing. And then I saw a man holding a platter, very tall man holding a platter of fried chicken. And because the man I saw was African American and the woman I was serving was African American, I didn't want to bring the image in because it seemed a very racist image to me. And I was living in DC at the time, very aware of being like one white face in a sea of African American faces and never ever wanting to upset anybody. So I didn't say anything. And the man stayed there, and I began to break out in a sweat. And I started to hyperventilate. And this dear woman said, "Honey, what is wrong? What is going on with you?" And so I burst into tears and basically said, "Please don't be upset with me, but there is a very tall African American man, and he's holding a platter of fried chicken." She burst into tears
Yeah.
and said, "Daddy,"
Yeah.
and then told me that she'd grown up on a chicken farm. And her father, every Sunday, her father never said, "I love you." He was very stern, but every Sunday he brought a platter of fried chicken. And that was the way he said to his family, "I love you." And she told me that, and she said the reason she'd come to me was because she wanted to know that heaven wasn't full of pasty white people like me. Like me.
Oh,
God bless
that's
her. And she did transition very easily. Her kids told me it was easy, it was joyful. That whole experience impressed me with a lot. I learned about my ego. I learned that where my ego would get in the way of this work and how I'd have to learn how to get my ego out of the work. So if you do work with me, you'll hear my opening prayer. There's a lot of time spent saying, "I need help. Let's move the ego. Let's move her over there."
yeah.
So that's when everything flipped and I began to do what I called then readings. Um,
And when was this? What year was this
um,
around?
I think we are in the early 90s. So we're at the end of the 80s and we're in the early 90s. And if you recall, that was also another big consciousness shift that
Yep.
there was a lot of shift happening then. So in that time, I also met my master teacher, Emmanuel, and had many amazing experiences with him.
Say more about Emmanuel.
Oh, I'd love to. So I met Emmanuel first in meditation, and I was still, I think I was still doing the physical healing, and I was enormously homesick. I was having a hard time being a human and wished that I was back in the oneness, and I was crying about that. And this beautiful man came into my field of vision and said, "Why are you crying? You're never not at home. You're always at home." And he was in front of a beautiful tree, and he had a blue background, with a blue background. And like about a week later, I was in what we used to call woo-woo bookstores. I don't know, do we call
Yep.
them woo?
I don't think we do.
Okay. We used to call them woo-woo bookstores.
Now they're reality bookstores, in my opinion.
Oh, I see.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. It's a good point.
So I was in a woo-woo bookstore, and I was walking and a book fell out the way this happens sometimes. Picked it up, and it was called Emmanuel's book.
I knew you were going to say that. I just have to say those books are incredible. I was wondering if that was the same thing. I was obsessed with those books.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you were.
Oh my God. I still look at those every once in a while. I refer to them. I could tell you quotes about them.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I was okay. Yes. This makes me even more.
Yes. I'm sure listeners are very curious. So I'll put information in the show notes about these books so people can get this exciting yes too.
Yeah. It's called Emmanuel's book, A Manual for Living Comfortably in the Cosmos. It's channeled through Pat Rodegast.
Yes.
And he was a big part of that shift in consciousness, I think. Emmanuel, or Uncle Emmanuel, as I like to call him, because he's so familiar. His energy is avuncular. He's sweet, kind, doting. He's wonderfully reassuring about the universe.
Yes.
And he's great at helping you get real clear. What's the mission? Why am I here? And in his words, it's to bring love where love appears not to be, and bring light where darkness seems to be, which is such a clear mission statement.
Oh.
So, and I really think that Emmanuel helped bring in that mission statement for so many of us.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. The one quote that stands out to me the most, and I've used so many times, dying is like taking off a tight shoe.
Yes. That is so beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
I cannot believe, because I never get to talk about these books with anybody, because I don't know a lot of people who read them, and I've shared them with a lot of people over the years, but I'm just, so you had a vision of him. Like you
and then a wonderful experience, which an incredible teaching, which I'll share with you if you're open. Well, while Uncle Emmanuel is here, he's going, tell the story. I have told and retold many, many times, because it opened the book of life for me in a way I don't think anything else quite has. So here's what happened. I had a dog named Emma, and Emma and I had a walk we loved to take. It was outside of Annapolis. We would walk in the woods, and then there was a section where I knew I could let her off the leash and she would run free. And we did this frequently. And this was at a time when I was just getting to know Uncle Emmanuel as a real solid presence in my life. So Emma and I were on the walk, and I let her off the leash, and she ran around a copse of trees, and suddenly I heard her scream. And in that moment, I could feel Emmanuel saying, pay attention. This is important. So my consciousness was split. I was with my dog screaming, and I was with Master Teacher saying, pay attention. This is important. And I ran around the copse of trees, and this may be hard for some people to hear. My dog's paw was caught in a bear trap. And I did one of those things that moms do where I just opened the trap. Like, I can't even tell you how that happened. It was like butter. It just opened. And I grabbed my dog and drove with her to the vet, a little hysterical, saying, my dog just got her paw caught in a bear trap. And he basically said, lady, you're nuts. There's nothing wrong with your dog. And x-rayed the paw. No blood, no broken anything. So a couple weeks later, I was sitting opposite a beautiful, brilliant medium, Reverend Reed Brown of the Arlington Metaphysical Chapel. Really, really, truly amazing medium. And Master Teacher Emmanuel came in through him, and I said, Teacher, can you explain what happened with Emma and the trap when I felt you right there? And he said, you see, beloved, in that occasion, there were 3 levels of consciousness. There was Emma in her dog consciousness, you in human consciousness, and me in God realized consciousness. And for Emma, there was just the physicality of the trap. For you, there was not the physicality of the trap, but the emotional trap, because you were frightened. For me, he said, everything in reality is God, even the teeth in a trap. And because that is my belief system, and because I affirm that God does not hurt God, and because you and I are like this, my consciousness contagious with yours, you basically pick up the ham of my consciousness. You walk with that to your dog, and we have what people would call a miracle, but it's not. It's the natural progression and movement of consciousness. It's the vibration of consciousness. And that beautiful lesson of everything in reality is God, even the teeth in a trap, the contagiousness of consciousness, the vibratory quality of belief, the vibratory quality to actually change the structure of what was supposed to be impossible to open or take a lot of upper body strength. That story that changed everything for me.
Wow.
So I'm very grateful to him, and I've used that as in my teaching of mediumship. I use that lesson quite a bit.
So, man, there's so many ways we could go. I have so many questions. I want to say something.
I want to go a little bit just back for our listeners to really understand. Is there a difference between divine mediumship and mediumship?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, the way I teach it, when I teach it, I call it divine mediumship. Because the way I teach it, it's not just Uncle Frank who's recently transitioned. It's more than Uncle Frank. For a lot, traditionally, in the spiritualist community, mediumship has been pretty focused on the loved one that just made their transition, as a way to prove that life exists after death.
Yeah.
Now, that just never made sense to me, because to me, consciousness is eternal. It doesn't need to be proved. And I think that most humans know that, deep down and in, that we are eternal. So I began to think, how do I teach it? It's not Uncle Frank. It includes Uncle Frank, obviously, because of the story I told with the fried chicken. But it is so much more. Divine mediumship is interested in what's the whole picture. What is the whole picture? And where are you now in terms of integrating all your losses, all your gains, all your past lives, and all your potential future lives? What are you still working on as a soul? Where are you with forgiveness? And with issues that come up with the body, because I work with Master Teacher White Eagle, who is a beautiful healer, I am programmed to always think not in terms of the limitation of disease, but the potential and always opening for disease. And I guess because, I had that experience with cancer as a young woman, where I could feel it. Oh, it can move. It can move. Now, I haven't done that since, to be honest. I've been more interested in spiritual movement.
Which, if I could interject here for a moment, I find so impressive, really, for you, Carolyn, because looking at our world, how easy it would have been for you to go down that route and be busy as all get out, because people crave, of course, that kind of physical healing. However, as you and I, and maybe some people listening, and Susie's learning and knowing that there's karma involved in all of this. And so even if you had healed that woman of cancer in that moment, is that healing the work that she needs to do for herself? Is that she got cancer for a reason? As we know, things are not accidental, and there's a deeper meaning here. So even if you know how to heal a physical body, is that healing them spiritually? It is not. And there's the depth. So you've decided, instead of going to this staying on the physical plane of the healing, you're like, let's go deep into the spiritual realms and heal what's really going on for you in the realest sense, not just the superficial sense. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. I do see it that way. And that's for all of us, I think, the work. And anything other, I have, as I'm sure both of you have, pretty finely attuned metaphysical ethic antennae.
Yeah.
And my teachers in spirit, God bless them, are great with me and keeping me really aware of when are you doing somebody else's homework for them.
Right.
Yeah. That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you, was where is the ethical responsibility? Where's that lie in your work?
Yeah. Well, it's part of what I teach, and I'm actually working on this in level 4 mediumship, and we're about to start this on Wednesday. But what I've been teaching and the way I work with it all along is to always remember that even if I perceive something and know it to be true in my gut, that is not the whole picture. Never the whole picture. That even if I perceive that, say, someone is about to get an A in a physical understanding of the world, what I have not yet seen is the doctorate that they are also capable of, that they will explore. So as long as I employ divine forgetfulness, which I do every single time I ask for divine forgetfulness, which basically means that I leave in my consciousness, when I leave a session, I leave the door open in terms of, I do not judge that this is finished. This is not a finished person. This is not a finished session. This now continues. This moves forward. So, of course, judgment comes in, and learning really deep down in the body, I think. Learning how to, I've learned in my own physical body when to know I am judging and when to get right on it right away. So I have help with this because I can't do it by myself. So I ask my sweet joy guide, Mirabelle, and I'm happy to show you a picture a medium drew of her. Would you like?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. In seminary, I went to school with a beautiful, talented medium, and she intuited, she drew Mirabelle for me.
Wow.
That's my joy guide. Isn't she
Oh,
pretty?
wow.
She's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yep. So what I will do is immediately, right in the middle of a session, if I think judgment is up, I'll say, Mother, send my ego out. That's my little mantra. And it's a way of saying, kids, I need help. I need help. And then move back into divine partnership with the collective to remember it's not my isolated point of view. I'm really got to be careful that I'm listening into a collective that is loosely made, because it's always being joined to the person that I'm serving, their divine collective, mine, and then X, the unknown, And also what helps is to understand that hopefully I will not be able to understand, to use that word again, I won't be able to understand everything that I'm bringing in. That it's not all going to make sense to me.
Right.
But it will make sense to the person I'm serving. And this is where ego can let go. Takes a lot of practice, but this is where ego can let go. Not for me.
A couple of things I experienced when I shared with you briefly that I have been channeling. It accidentally started happening a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. And there has been a couple of sessions that I've had where I almost didn't say it because I was like, what? And I just said it anyway. And it was the biggest experience for them to have to receive these words, and it meant everything. And so I learned quickly, don't filter. What are you doing? Like, don't second guess. Ego's out of the way. My experience has been so interesting. So I understand what you're coming from there. And I'm so new at this. Don't even compare myself to you by any stretch of the imagination. It's just an interesting, I don't even know what words to say, how interesting this is. I would love to know more about your process as a medium. What is it? What do you hear? Are you clairvoyant, clairaudient, all of the above? What is your experience in communicating with the other side?
Oh, happy to share. But first, Jenny, I would just like to say, to invite you to know deep, deep in your body that no one is ahead or behind anybody in this practice, that we're all in it together. And we're all at the same place.
Thank you.
Okay. So I may have more practice.
Yeah.
But you are a beautiful musician. Okay. All right. Promise?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. I hope you don't mind, but that's something that I work on with my students. Is I make sure one of the things that we talk about is I make sure everybody understands nobody is more gifted. We're not going to even use the word gifted. We use practiced instead. So we're
Thanks.
not gifted, we're practiced. Okay. And that harks back to when I received my training, I was trained by people who were spiritualists, and they were trained in the way of people are gifted.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true.
I agree
I,
with you. We all
I,
have the ability. Mm-hmm.
oh, we all do. We all do. We just have to learn it. So yes, I am. I go through phases. I'm clairaudient. I'm clairsentient. I'm clairaudient. I smell things, I see things, I smell things, I feel things. And it changes according to the soul that I am serving. If I'm working with a writer, I probably will hear. If I'm working with a visual artist, I'll probably see. If I'm working with someone whose mom was a great cook, I'll probably smell. Or it's sort of all of that. So one of the delights that I enjoy is shifting and moving from hearing to seeing to smelling to sensing, to combining all of that together. I think when I had spinal meningitis in my 30s and I lost hearing in this ear, that helped open clairaudience for me. It helped me to hear better. And when I teach mediumship, I teach clairaudience by asking my students to listen to Mozart and listen to the lowest note possible, not by using these ears, but by using the cerebellum, the medulla oblongata. Back here, what has been disparaged as being the lizard brain is actually the part of the brain that is most acutely sensitive to vibration. And in the Mozart exercise, what people find, although it drives a lot of people crazy at first, I must tell you, it's like, I only want to listen to the melody on top.
Right.
This mimics a kind of, monkey mind is the melody. That's monkey mind.
Mm-hmm.
When we can center in and listen to that lowest bass note, basically what we're doing is we're listening to what I call foundational note or mother note, God note, the I am note, the Big Bang note. It's that foundational note upon which all other vibrations exist and collaborate with. So as mediums, and all humans can do it, if we can learn to identify what is foundational note, what is truth, and feel into that with the person that we're serving, then it's more of it's an easier dance to feel all these other vibrations up here. Does that make sense?
100%. And what it brings me to think about one of the meditation techniques that I use it's called the Om technique, where we close off the ears and the eyes and we focus on hearing the Om, like listening for the Om in the lowest thing. So it's the same kind of thing. It's part of my daily meditation.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it cool, Jenny, how what we get to notice is how these modalities are all intersecting.
Yes, they are.
They're all intersecting with this huge explosion of consciousness. The world appears to be in such a shattered state. And yes, that is true. Yes. And the explosion of consciousness is undeniable.
Right. both are getting bigger, the
Yeah.
dark and the light.
Yeah, I wanted to ask
Yes.
you about that and to touch on how people are talking so much now about like the new earth and there's a big shift happening. Can you tell us what are you experiencing in that regard?
On Thursday night, I will channel or my partner, Reverend Violet, will channel, and we get a lot of information about the new earth. Part of what the new earth is, of course, is the new human. And the new human is a human being that is profoundly porous, whose etheric body is as substantive as the physical body. So that there is a sense of what we are evolving into is a physical being that is a three-dimensional being, and at the same time multidimensional, and not waiting to do that when we cross the physical barrier, but doing it like in the physical barrier. Yeah. So instances of, we've read about divine masters bilocating and appearing in lots of different places. That's like a precursor, I think, of our evolution and where we're going, that we're becoming physically more porous and spiritually, I would say, more dynamic. And then if you think about our relationship to our beautiful mother, our earth, that every one and everything, every plant, every rock, every creature also will have a stake in the physical world and be able to embody that multidimensionality at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that when we walk up to a tree, for instance, we'll encounter the essence of consciousness of tree, not just bark and leaves, but consciousness of tree. So New Earth is happening. And it happens with the physical wobble in the earth. It happens in the labor pain that we're in right now, in the scream and the holler and the fear and all of that. We are in the middle of it. We're in the labor room right now. And it's not pretty, but it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. And so what do you tell people that come to you with a lot of fear around what's happening now? What do you say?
Well, it's going to be case by case, soul by soul. Oftentimes, souls have a beautiful instance in their past life of facing down fear. And I'm through the help of my guidance, my sweet Mirabelle, whom you just met, she will often bring me an image of, Mommy, guess what they did in past life? Guess what they did when they alchemized something or transformed something? When I bring that forward to the person, like, do you know what you did? And do you see how you can, up the ante and do even better in this life? That helps enormously. That helps to know that, oh, this is familiar. This is not brand new. What's new is the concentrated density. Mm-hmm. That's what's new. Mm-hmm. So that, and then, what I will hear for people is a reminder that they matter, that what they're doing counts enormously in terms of the tikkun olam, the healing of the world, the mending of the world. Mm-hmm. That every little thing they do matters. And oftentimes my team will bring up an instance from this life or maybe yesterday Remember when you stood up for that office worker yesterday? Remember how the tone shifted? And that I'm noticing is helping people to have courage. And then, of course, there's the reminder. Sometimes it's cold comfort, but the reminder that you asked to be here at this point.
Yeah. Right.
Do you think
Remembering that.
this moment is unique that we're in right now? Yes.
I do. I think for the density, it is unique. It is remarkably dense in terms of the exfoliation, that's going on. I think, we've exfoliated before. We've been in other really tricky times before. What's different, I find, is that it's so remarkably dense and not in just one place, but all over. And that, to me, that does feel different.
What would you say to our listeners that you think that the divine might be sharing with us right now?
Oh, it's such a good question. I think the divine is sharing right now the words that were spoken to a character named Abraham or Abram a very long time ago, when Abram was said, "Come to a land I'll show you." And there was no map, no script, no GPS. And Abram picked up and left a very comfortable existence to follow a divine leading. I think the divine is saying the same thing. I think we're all Abram or Abraham, and we're all I think we can all hear, come to a land, come to a way of being, I will show you. It will take the practice of staying right in the moment and going step by step. But we are unfolding into and as our good. This, I think we know deep in our bones that we are actually evolving into and as our good. Does it take courage to be a human today? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does. And a big slice of humor, a piece of chocolate doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But in the divine is that invitation that says it may feel bleak. There's understanding, yes, it's dark. Yes, it's bleak. Keep going. The egg is cracking. You are birthing the new reality.
During this process, it's very important to stay in the light.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read something that you wrote, Carolyn, and I just thought it was so beautiful that I want to share it. You stumbled into the thrilling realization that every human being is an elegant poem of profound and sacred meaning. Further, every human poem is woven ecstatically into the greater poem of the universe. Some people might call that greater poem God, or some might call it higher consciousness. Whatever we call it, it is the loving vibration which weaves everyone and everything together. It is good, and every aspect of the universe is integral to its wholeness.
Thank you for reading that. Yeah. My teachers are going, did we say that? Yeah. That probably was channeled, so I can't claim complete credit for it. I think that sounds like Master Teacher Emmanuel, and that sounds like Lady Nada. That sounds like my Doctor of Philosophy, Dr. Avery. That sounds like Yeshua. That sounds like Blessed Mother. That sounds like a divine collective, and you can hear that in that That's a divine collective speaking. I do believe it, and it is something that thrills me, the unveiling of the poem of a person. And I've seen that poem in truck drivers, and I've seen the poem in high school students, and I've seen the poem in people going through a divorce and suffering unspeakable tragedy. I've seen the poem in all kinds of people and in animals and in trees and, boulders and stones. And my team will often say, "Hey, kid, don't forget, you're a poem too, and you're not done."
Yeah. So are you hearing them on a daily basis all throughout the day? Are you tapped in? Do you get messages all day long? How does it work for you?
Well, at this point, it's constant.
What?
It's constant. I'm giggling because it used to be, I used to have the belief that I had to keep one foot on the ground
Right.
and one foot in fourth dimension. And over time, I've just realized that for me to feel comfortable on planet Earth, I can be grounded and listening constantly at the same time. I'm just more comfortable that way. I think one of the main differences between fourth and fifth is in fourth, we have a beautiful breakthrough. We realize that we're timeless. And we realize that we have a quantum mind. We realize that that particles change when we observe them. We have that kind of realization in fourth dimensional mind. I think in fifth dimensional mind, we begin to ask ourselves, what do we do with this perspective? What do we create? What do we build? How do we now connect and communicate and do this, not just as me, the individual, but as me, the whole universe and beyond? So I'm somebody who once upon a time realized that I was living parallel lives, and it just kind of jumped. I just jumped one day and realized that I was living a couple other lives at the same time that I was this being. And for me, that was initially for 4D, because it was kind of beyond the 3-dimensional. But it's become 5D for me, because now it is a sense of usefulness. How is this useful? 5 is a beautiful number. 5, we break apart. We open the box in 5. We move forward. We're about to move into 6, which is pregnancy, which is incredible fertility. But 5 is a beautiful breaking of a pattern. And I think it has to do with collective. What do you think, Jenny?
Wow, that's such a good way. I've never heard it described that way. I like that. I really like the idea of breaking free from a pattern because we've all been really asleep and with this idea of separation. And I see the 5 dimension as breaking free from that separation and that remembering of the oneness and living in that state of remembering the oneness. And if we did this, wars couldn't be possible.
That's
Murder and torture and all the terrible things, the darkness can't happen because we wouldn't if we really were in the oneness, there's no way we would harm another because we know we're harming ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I like the way you're describing the fourth versus the fifth, in that kind of bringing it more into action is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful. And I see now, to me, that makes the most sense. And I'm not, again, I haven't heard anyone describe it that way particularly. And so the action is treating each other differently because we understand our collective nature. And that's where people are slowly, one by one, waking up to that reality.
Yes.
Slowly.
Slowly. You know, I'm thinking of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.,
Right.
and we're celebrating his birthday today. And I'm thinking of the I Have a Dream speech is a fourth dimensional speech.
Yeah.
It was very important. The I Have a Dream. And fifth dimension is, and you know this is happening, we're beginning to say, I am the dream. So that is also where we have that shift of breaking the pattern where there is some kind of deus ex machina, some kind of external divine authority out here that's going to swoop in and save us and make it all right. Part of the breaking of the pattern is to say, well, I'm the dream.
Yeah.
We're the ones we've been waiting for, you know, as
Yes.
the gospel goes. And I think that he must feel so proud to know, to have noticed that shift, that we indeed have moved.
Mhm.
That's a big move for us.
It's really big. It really
Yeah.
is. Full body chills both times you said that. I am the dream, because that is exactly the waking up. And it's one of the things I say to myself consistently throughout the day. This is a
Oh,
dream.
yeah.
We're a dream. We're in a dream. You know, don't take this too seriously. Don't get caught up in the details of all of this. Don't get your ego worked up. Like, this is a dream. What are you choosing right now? Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Susie?
Well, I'll tell you, when you're talking, I was actually just going to say, I didn't want to interrupt, but I was going to say it to our listeners, stay with me if you're feeling like me right now and a little bit lost, but still trying to stay. Like when you start talking about the fifth and the sixth dimension, and you start saying that sixth dimension is a little bit like pregnancy, I have to be honest with you, that was a little over my head. So I was going to wait till you're finished to say if you could maybe talk to people that may not understand fully where you're coming from, because I would love to know a little
Oh,
bit.
well, to make it really, really simple, and also to reassure everybody that really all that matters is that we walk as the love that we are, and breathe as the love we are, and speak as the love we are. That's really all that matters. The dimensions unfold, and they unfold quite naturally. But an easy way to think of it is to think of a box, perhaps, of a four-dimensional box, a box, and the feeling of when we're able to, if let's just imagine for a moment that the box includes everything that's ever happened, and the idea of everything that could happen, and we have a sense of timelessness that's going on in that box.
Mm-hmm.
And then we imagine that, let's break the box apart and let's build another shape that's not a box, but actually includes a kind of a spiral in it. The bottom of a 5, you think of that 5 as kind of like a spiral, and then it's pointing in a certain way. If we break open the box and we use everything we've learned up till this point and everything that we can sense that we're about to be, if we use it to transform this moment so that we really are on a spiral consciously in a very way that's awake, the next thing that happens from a 5 is it becomes a 6, and that's an image of pregnancy, right? That's an image of a little pregnant belly. And that's like birthing a whole new system. So if we think of 5 as breakthrough, like 5 is the breakthrough,
Okay.
and 6 is the whole new beginning.
Okay. That was actually
But
very
really,
helpful.
was it? Oh, good.
Mm.
The most important thing is be kind. That's all. Just be kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Treat
That
other
is.
people the way you want to be treated. It's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. I've had
Mhm.
I have 3 children ranging from 7 to 20, and people have said to me through the years many times is, what do you teach your children? What religion? And I've always answered the same thing: kindness. Teach my children kindness. Be kind.
Mm.
That's my simple answer. So I love that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not so easy to do. Um, but if everybody gives it their best, one kind person helps another person to be kind. So
many things to talk about. What do you have coming up?
Yeah. What do you have coming up? That's a great question.
okay, what I have coming up is level 4 mediumship. This is the first time I'm teaching level 4. I've created these classes, so it's sort of my own thing, but I've done 1, 2, and 3. And we've reached a point where my level 3 students were saying, what about level 4? And I thought, I have no idea what level 4 is. Until I had a nice sit down with Mirabelle, my joy guide, and of course with my master teachers. And then I began to understand that level 4, we are talking about the difference between a reading, which is an observed position, and a message, which opens the position. And so we're talking about this in terms of quantum mind. We're talking about this. I reference there are beautiful examples of Jesus bringing in readings and messages that make it really clear what that movement is. If you know the Bible at all, one of the best ones is Martha, Martha, you're really worried, you're really upset. So that would be a reading right there, like reading the energy. You're worried. And then the message is your sister has employed choice, and it's implied, and so can you. And what if you chose something else? What if you chose, and what would that look like? So he's a great example. And I like using him as an example because it helps people feel a little more comfortable. Like, yes, we're not demonic here. So I'm teaching level 4. Then I go back, I teach level 1 again. Level 4 is for 6 weeks. I take a week off from teaching, and then I'll be going back to level 1. We are in the very beginning stages of planning a retreat for 2027, late October to November. I have a really cool client who works in Seattle. She's a therapist, and she's very interested about combining a retreat in which we deal with connection to nature and connection to spirit in the same tableau. So I'm working on that also.
Wow.
And very, very slowly working on. So lots to do.
And is this a biography, or what's the book about?
A partly biography. It's the title is "Everybody is a Little Medium" is the title of the book.
I like that.
And it's basically my classes in mediumship and what I've observed, and kind of like a textbook, a workbook, um, and my goal with that is to put something into people's hands that make it very clear that this is just a natural state of being, and that anybody can. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm also have to vacuum my house, guys. So
You also have to be a human.
I gotta
Wow.
vacuum.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I love your sense of humor. That's so cute. Well, we do a little segment here, Carolyn, called Rapid Fire Questions. So would you like to play?
Okay.
And I always make a
Sure, let
joke.
me have a sip of water.
I always make a joke that it starts off with a little music that we can't hear, so we get like a little excited, but it's in our head. So we will start here. 10 rapid fire questions. Morning ritual or nighttime ritual?
Morning.
Silence or music?
Silence.
Teaching or one-on-one sessions?
Teaching.
Journaling or meditation?
Meditation.
Protection rituals, yes or no?
Not for me, not anymore.
Feel free to elaborate on anything, by the way. One word that describes the divine.
Oh, can I elaborate on that?
Yes, please.
No, because not anymore. Once I understood that I am the wholeness of the universe, once I understood that the tiger in the path is me, and really the teaching that Emmanuel gave me, that everything in reality is God, even the teeth in a trap, and God doesn't hurt God, then the need to do protection ritual fell by the wayside. So not for me, not anymore. I understand that for many people it is valid. But for me, once I surrendered myself to the whole, and came to be saturated and wildly, ecstatically in love with the whole, I didn't need to be protected from the whole.
That was so good. I'm so glad I asked you that question. Okay. One word that describes the divine.
Love.
A sign you personally ask for?
I never asked for a sign. That's so interesting. I never asked for a sign. I guess for me, the whole thing is a sign. It's all a sign. So I've never asked. Everything is. Anyhow, if I've asked for anything, it's guidance in how to be alert to the many, many, many millions, multitudes of signs that are right here, right now. Just by looking at your faces, there are signs here. My sleeping dog is a sign. All of it, really.
That's good.
Most misunderstood spiritual concept.
Evil.
Can you elaborate on that?
I believe that, yes. Here I'm really influenced by, again, my master teacher, Yeshua. And he spoke Aramaic. In Aramaic, the word evil is bisha, and it means two things. It means evil, this hard, compressed, it'll never be fixed reality. And it also means unripe, an energy that has the potential to ripen. So for me, evil is not unreachable. Evil is not a static energy. It is simply compressed and unripe, and it will ripen. It will ripen. And so evil is, for me, very misunderstood. And I'm very grateful to all the work that's been done in opening the language of Aramaic, because once you sit with that language, you can understand what that word actually means. It means something that is about to be in process in a beautiful way.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Wow.
I didn't come up with it.
A practice you do
I just
daily.
have great teachers. I didn't.
You do. Yeah. A practice you do daily no matter what.
Oh, sure. One of my favorite practices, because I have a dog and because we live in the country, we get to go out in the woods every single day. And no matter what, every single day, I like to say, hello, tree. Thank you, tree. Hello, boulder. Thank you, boulder. Hello, snow. Thank you, snow. I like to converse with the natural world. And when we really get on a roll, hello, tree, thank you, tree, I like to say, Yeshua, look. I like to bring in a master teacher and say, will you stand with me? Will you share this with me? Emmanuel, will you feel this with me? Look at this tree, Emmanuel. Look at this. Look at this boulder. Look, look, look. That's something that I do every single day. And my neighbors have caught me doing it. It's kind of embarrassing sometimes.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
I promise you, if you walk with me, you're going to end up doing it.
I would like to start practicing that when I'm out on walks because it seems so joy-filled. Like you just seem like it makes you so happy. I want to try that.
Oh, good. I promise you. Just wait till you hear the boulder go, I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I love that. And the last rapid fire question we have is complete this sentence. Divine mediumship is
A way to live an abundant life.
I feel like you get a standing ovation for your rapid fire questions. You haven't had that yet, but I think this is the first standing ovation for the rapid fire questions.
Thank you. Thank
Your answers were just they're beautiful in ways that I've never looked at things, like just the story about evil that you gave. It made me feel safe actually.
Oh, we can all understand energy that's compressed and unripe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most humans have the experience of ripening, something ripened. Either they fell in love or they got pregnant or they discovered, oh my God, I can sing. Or you, Jenny, you discovered, oh my gosh, I'm channeling that, that we discover we're ripening. So we know this as animals, that we ripen. We watch it with our flowers, with our crops. We know that things ripen. And to know that evil also is compressed energy that is ripening helps. And for what it's worth, cancer feels like it's compressed. It's just compressed, and it can ripen. And it can ripen in a way that brings more life. So it is a biggie, that the understanding of evil.
I wanted to ask if you're open to it, if there's any messages or any message that your guides that are, I know, here with you now always, they have anything to share with our audience or us.
Well, what I'm hearing is from my teachers in spirit, notably Uncle Emmanuel, Master Teacher Emmanuel, and Lady Nada. White Eagle is here. My Doctor of Philosophy, Dr. Avery Yeshua. What I'm hearing from this beautiful collective is that it is a message that invites our listeners to pay attention to where you are and pay attention to what you are, and to remember with the fullness of your being that you are not simply and only or merely human. You are simply divine, that you are both. And when you are compassionate with your humanness, give yourself slack for being a human being, for living in a 3D world, and bring forth the fullness of your divinity to help you engage with where you are right now. You cannot but help progress. You will move forward simply by opening up the conversation between what is human in your being and what is divine in your being. And I want to thank them for bringing that in.
Yes. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Yes.
Welcome.
I am so grateful for this episode. You are shining bright, and you brought me so much joy. You really have. In this past hour and a half, I just feel something bigger, and it feels very, very good. And I hope our listeners are feeling the same. I'm sure they are. And is there anything that you would like to share with our guests from you, Carolyn, before we go?
Just have a beautiful, a fun-filled day. And keep supporting these two beautiful souls. They are doing wonderful work. Be a part of this mission. Come on board. We can do this, and we are doing this together. And thank you, Susie, and thank you, Jenny, both of you. You're both amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jenny, what would you like to leave our listeners with today?
Be in joy, because you are the light and you are the part of the oneness. We are one. Please remember that and treat others the way you want to be treated. All is well.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sister Sessions podcast. If you found inspiration in today's conversation, we'd love it if you shared the episode with your besties, family, or even your favorite neighbors. We'll be back next time with more to share, but until then, remember, meditation is the key to unlocking your inner peace. All is well, friends. See you soon.